Hockey Inside Out, presented to you by the Montreal Gazette.
Welcome to the HIO Show, everybody. I'm joined again this week by Chris Nyland, Jack Todd, and Andy Bennett from CBC Daybreak. Chris, the Habs are off to a 4-0 start, first time since 1977-78. Did you see this coming when they went on that 4-game road trip?
Not necessarily. Again, you know, with the teams that they were playing, it looked like they might have a tough time. But when you really look at Toronto and Boston, I mean, let's face it, I thought the toughest matchup would be Ottawa. They got through that. I think they match up well against Pittsburgh. It's a great start, 4-0, but it's the same as if they started 0-4. It's early in the season. It's positive, but it's just the beginning. Now, the last 3 times they started 4-0, 55-56, 70-71, 77-78. They went on to win the Cup all those years.
Yeah, to me, the big surprise there was the 70-71 team starting 4-0, because we know that's the team that had to come back against Boston, and you know, the big underdog. To me, what was really impressive about this is the business-like way they did it, because they also started with a series of wins last year before they went to Tampa Bay and just got blown out of the rink. But this year it was so business-like. It was like, we do this, of course we're going to win the game. And always getting the first goal, which was huge. Very tight play. Last year was so wild and hairy, those early games. This year everything was under control. If they keep playing like that, maybe.
I hate that comparison. The last time they did this, they won the Cup. I mean, let's just pile on the pressure immediately to start the season for these guys. First of all, wasn't that a huge year for Guy Lafleur? I mean, the lineup on that team in the 70s, you can't really compare.
There's a few Hall of Famers on that roster.
Just a few Hall of Famers in the late 70s. So, you know, I think it's a great start for them. Plus, it wasn't an easy road. I mean, they were playing other teams in their home openers, I think 3 out of the 4. You had the team that they knocked out in the postseason in Ottawa that should have been hungry. Same thing with Pittsburgh. A bunch of the guys on there still cold, including Sidney Crosby. So I think, I mean, a surprising 4-0 start, but definitely a good surprise for this city.
Does this silence the Michel Therrien, Marc Bergevin critics that are still out there, Chris?
Well, geez, you know, listen, I don't agree with every decision Therrien makes, and he does make some mistakes, but this guy has done a very good job here. I've said it from the beginning. Like, he doesn't get the love. He had one line, basically, that could score for him in the last 3 years. Now he has 2. He has a third line that's pretty good, and he has a 4th line that's pretty good. This is the most depth they've had in the forward position. And then you look at their defense. And now goaltending, 2 goalies. Condon, yeah, 1 game, small sample size, but you know, these 2 have done a great job. I think Bergevin has done a great job since he's been there. I've said it. He's put his finger in the dike on a few occasions to shore up this team and hopefully do well in the playoffs, and they have succeeded. They've made the playoffs, and have they gone to the final yet? No, but he's made great progress with this group of guys. And like I said, the signings of Petrie, Flynn, Mitchell, these are key signings. And, you know, we looked at the Semin-Kassian thing, and everybody said this year, oh, how are the Canadiens going to be? Well, it depends on Semi and Kassian. Well, Kassian's out. Semin, at times, has
compete level could be
a little better.
Still got the hands.
You're going to get that with him, and you'll get that with him all year. Some days he'll look like he's doing nothing, and then all of a sudden he'll explode and have 3 points.
Well, that 4th line in Pittsburgh, they had about almost 15 minutes of ice time. That's
and they look great. Smart guys. Greenfield Park, shout out. Torrey Mitchell. I'll be hearing about it at Provigo. And the most impressive part to me has been the guy who was crapped on the most here last year is Smith Pelly. He's shown a lot more speed. I think that lost weight and his skating work over the summer has really paid off. He got a terrible call against him with the other night in Pittsburgh when you know, he's going at the same rate as Kessel. I think he was a little bit ahead, and Kessel caught him from behind. He got the tripping call.
That was a hee-haw moment for the referee.
Exactly. But at least the kid was going fast enough to be going at least at an even clip with Kessel, and Kessel's pretty quick, fat as he is.
Well, and whatever weight Devontae Smith-Pelly lost, I think Alex Galchenyuk found, but in a good way. Exactly. He seems to be a little bit more gritty, a little bit more, you know, definitely fitting into that centerman position. So I think that's really exciting too when you see and I've always been rooting for Lars Eller, so it's nice to see him getting the results and taking that step forward that I think we've been waiting for. So, you know, it's kind of like you have a general manager who seems to be like a great chef, like he knows what ingredients are going to work well together, and then Terrier, who, to answer your question, I don't think will ever, you know, not receive criticism in this city. People are always going to find something. He's either switching up the lines too quickly or leaving the lines together for too long, and he's never going to.
It's funny.
You can't win that game.
It's funny, you're right. Now that they have really nothing to complain about, they're back on his suits again on Twitter. It's
It's
all about his suits. I think he got
better this year.
I think he's looking sharp.
Unfortunately, he's
Michelle, you're looking sharp, pal.
He does. It's gotten a lot better, the suits, I have to say, but I do hope he throws in the mustard yellow every now and then.
Maybe you should take him shopping, Chris. You're looking pretty
Oh,
dapper
yeah.
there.
Geez, I'd love to. But with his money.
Do you worry about a letdown now going into the home opener with?
I think the home opener is going to be very tough. It's tough for every team. These long, drawn-out ceremonies, which I just absolutely hate anyway.
You know, the torch is coming out.
Oh, yeah, you know, all the stuff. By now we know the drill here in Montreal. Yawn. I'll probably stay down and have a coffee until. But you know, it does hurt the home team. And then there's pressure. That perfect way they've been playing on the road, they never play that way in the first game back home. And to get the Rangers and Detroit back-to-back, a tough way to start.
Such a curmudgeon. I love the ceremonies at the beginning of the game. Those are one of the things that gets me
You
fired
haven't
up
sat through enough,
for the game.
young'un.
True, I haven't sat through enough, but 10 years is a good sample size, I think. I just kind of take off the working hat for a minute and just sit there and absorb it. And I think it's going to be so great tomorrow, especially because you have the introduction of Max Pacioretty, which will be so exciting. And look, I think I'm prepared for a letdown because I feel like we've had so many of those in the past, but I think they might be able to come in and get that sustained energy.
Stick around, we're going to take a short break and we'll talk a little bit about this weekend's HIO Summit. Welcome back, everybody. Well, this weekend is the annual HIO Summit with a bunch of our Hockey Inside Out fans coming into Montreal to attend the game Saturday night against the Red Wings. A special shout out to Alex Smith, a young boy from Regina who battled meningitis twice, almost died. He's going to be coming to town with his dad, John, for the game. Ian Cobb, who organized the trip, arranged to raise some money to bring him and his dad here. His dad, John, is one of the biggest Habs fans you'll ever meet, even though he's from Regina. So everybody have a fun weekend. Enjoy the time in Montreal. Chris, Max Pacioretty. Where's the C? It's looking good. 4 goals in 4 games. Do you think that maybe the C gave him an added boost?
I don't know so much. I mean, look, he had an injury to start the season, right? He got over that, got healthy again. We looked at him in the first game, and there was talk, oh, he's looked okay, you know, just coming back. But Max, I think, wearing the C, he's really, it fits him well. You know, he's got the good attitude on the ice. He's always a guy who comes to work and practice. He's a somewhat humble guy. He's not, you know, in the limelight all the time, the center of attention. So it's a great start for Max. I like the way he's going about it.
No. He might have the best or the worst contract in the NHL, depending on which side of the fence you're sitting on. He's signed for $4.5 million a year through 2018-19.
I know. I'm sure that's a little painful to him because he's an $8 million a year player right now. But you know, he could understand it at the time with the injuries he had, maybe looking a little iffy. He's fulfilled everything he could possibly fulfill, and he's made me look bad. He's looking like a really good captain. He's so cool on the ice. I am beginning to think that style is the best thing they could possibly have. I loved it after his first goal last night. They cut to his face, and I thought the goal was waved off. Like, he was so low-key, I thought, what was wrong with that?
Yeah.
You know, that was just no more of the sheathing the stick and all those things. Like, cool, calm, and collected, which is what you need your captain to be.
Well, these guys have all grown up together, right?
Well, it's like between him and Price, it's like sometimes you just want to, it's like, are you excited? You know, you hear them talk, I'm really excited about it. It's kind of funny that they're both such low-key guys and both obviously big leaders on this team. Pacioretty, I mean, I think there's so many factors that go into his success this year. I mean, yes, he had those injuries and that definitely affected his contract, but the drive and the commitment that he had to come back as early as he did from both of those injuries, even just the knee injury that he suffered in the offseason, that was something that Michel Therrien spoke about, you know, how he had such respect for how much time he was putting in trying to come back. And I think a lot of I'm going to put a lot of the credit to the woman, of course, in his life. I mean, nothing gets you into a routine like being married with 2 kids and hockey players. I mean, Chris, it's all about routine, right?
Well, it is, you know, and when you talk about guys being a little bit monotone, not showing all that emotion, it's pretty tough when you have PK in the room doing it. Everybody is going to sound boring after PK.
Yeah.
Now, the NHL salary cap this year is $71.4 million. The Penguins, their top 5 guys combined, earn $38 million. Malkin 9.5, Crosby 8.7, Letang 7.25, Kessel 6.8, Fleury 5.75. The Habs, on the other hand, their top 5 make $31.75 million, and that doesn't even include Max. He's only making 4.5. So I think Bergevin's handled the salary cap.
Yeah, he has, and they're getting more out of their top 5 than the Penguins are getting out of theirs the last couple of seasons. I think Bergevin has done a masterful job of everything, you know. Yeah, about the only place where I thought maybe there was a fair criticism would have been Sekach for Smith-Pelly. Even that's looking good right now. Every parcel of this organization is looking so good, and remember, we're 3 years away from the Gauthier disaster. Amazing how fast he's done it.
Well, they have to have that more balance. I mean, they don't have a Sidney Crosby or an Evgeny Malkin on the team, right? So it has to be a little bit more balanced as far as salaries for them and the production that they're going to get out of their top guys. But yeah, I mean, you look at on the business end of it, it looks like a pretty smart guy right now.
Yeah, well, the top 5 for the Habs are Subban, $9 million, Price, $6.5, Markov, $5.75, Petrie, $5.5, and Plekanec, $5. Plekanec doesn't have a contract going into next season. He's 32 years old, Chris. Does he deserve a new contract?
I'd like to see him get a new one. I'd like to see the loyalty kick in here. Here's a guy who's done nothing but play hard for this organization, been successful in his career. He's been healthy. You know, look at only a few years ago, and I know it wasn't Bergevin, it was Gauthier, but they signed Andrei Markov, who just stepped on an IED. And they signed him to a pretty long-term contract, so for big money. I'd love to see Plekanec be here because I think he can make a difference with this team. Like I said, his health has been impeccable since he's been here. So again, I'd love to, I'd love to see the loyalty factor. Plus, it's not like he can't play. He can play.
I think people who criticize him don't really watch him closely. Right, he's not a fun guy to play against. You notice at the games he's like dirty behind the plate. He's sneaky.
They always miss all the little things, basically, the fans do. And now he's doing the big things and the little things. I think he's a little more visible. And I think they will sign him for the same reasons they signed Markov. These are their 2 longest-term guys, both really valuable in every way, in the room, on the ice, public demeanor, everything. Sign him.
That's a problem too, though, right? I mean, he's a great two-way player, and as far as assets that the Canadiens have, should they want to make a big signing or something, I mean, he's one of those guys that is an asset that could be used to maybe get something else that they need. But I mean, I agree with Chris. I'd love to see the loyalty kick in, and I'd love to see Plekanec stick around.
Now, Paul Byron sort of become the forgotten man on this team since he was claimed off waivers from Calgary, 5'7". Therrien said he was going to play him in Ottawa, which is his hometown, and then he said he felt terrible not dressing him. But how do you switch this lineup?
Listen, that's a good problem for the coach to have. I wouldn't worry about Paul Byron. Listen, work hard in practice. Be ready to play when you're called on. Here's the deal. This kid should be happy he's with the team. He's with the Montreal Canadiens. They're healthy right now. They're winning hockey games. Why touch anything? Just work your little butt off in practice. You'll get your chance. And be ready to play when it's your time.
When they got him, Therrien stressed the importance of speed in today's NHL game as opposed to the tough guy. That seems to be the way to go now.
You know, I noticed the one stat the Canadiens have been lagging in is hits. You know, they were out-hit like 2-1 in Ottawa, but outshot the Senators 2-1. I'm starting to wonder if the shift in the league that was supposed to come 5 years ago with the change in the rules isn't finally catching up. Like, you're seeing all these speed guys, Mitchell and Flynn, etc., looking so good out there, and they're slower than Byron. So I think he fits in really well.
I mean, it would be nice to see him, but I think you don't mess with a winning lineup. I mean, you don't. How are you going to get him into the lineup right now and when they've started the season 4-0?
Yeah. Well, that's it for this week's show. Again, everybody, for the HIO Summit this weekend, have a good time.
And if you want to see Paul Byron, head over to the Baby Bell. You can watch him in practice.
See you next week.